ne nimet egete jigawin jigat nikya mego wijgaman adansan nangud nango enching Asian gunwan gising nimim. This is the male traditional dance, and sometimes as families they all dance together. Mabagno matnene eshigat ne gachkut koki noge nasap kan de wegan ne kya eshe wapdoen noge nan gud nong wap the wen maba nene eshigat mondana ne kya eshini bimildot bimadzuwen eshin gudwan gesingona mage Nishnabe Adzuin. So what you see with this male traditional dancer, when he steps lightly on the ground, and that's to show his durability, I guess, and his in the ways of the people, as sometimes as leaders, or maybe the family, head of the family. Mabadash koisens. Any mentioned Mabad nene danson. I get to Chicago and go gay. Warm the wind. You know, gay. Can also have man. A which got margin. Mego kinumaga zognamaba binuji mamwe niming jinak maba machta nimit. Sometimes when children dance as families, she looks at the ways that the dance happens and she learns from it, and this is the way that all learning happens in Anishinaabe life ways. Minwa bejik egete ejigawin nango duwap nawa. Kwe nikia eshigat. Kenegegu kenawenda nabakwe. This is the female traditional style, and what she shows is how she takes care of, tends to everything. Kenegegu do memenjan. Kenegegu anak nige unan ejwebak. Gudwaya nagizing kinagikend dan mawa pige wagi useng pi mi jim majaksek ikend dan mawa. So her role was just to make sure that everything runs smoothly in a household. You know, when men should go out to go hunting, and when the food was scarce, she knew she had made plans for it. Ignoendang ke awe mawa negajit ko ki the king kenege gojin negaji kang gnoendang duamdan piwa matmaba nimit. So as you see her dance, you see her tendencies of, you know, taking care of everything with total care of how she does things. She does it just, you know, masterfully like that. And the shawl she carries usually symbolizes how she carries everything, even from how she carries her children. And her movements are very slow. Kinagoygodo gnoendan. Watchkego ni Jigishwewin. Mdigego Jigishwewin ignoendan aqua. Ninango gabe. Patino Bushman, QueoGanishnabimjik. Kinagoygo wewe ignoendan awa. Today, as you see that the language is being kept mostly by women, and that just goes to show, how they keep care of everything in the household. Kilgumandani Nishnabe Adziwin Nikaganishwebak Kinawino and the Quo Kanakanigeo. You know in the mot, Kinigego, Mandag de Nazuna.
Bonjour, Lakota Pochedley Indigenous, Mono Irokut Nanishnabe no Swin, Bodoi Wadmi Koi and Dao Shishibaniak Nedabin Dagwis, Mong On Dodam, Kalamazoo and Dutch, Indian, Cleveland, Ohio, and Dutch Bia. Hello, my name is Lakota Pochedley. I come from the citizen band Potawatomi Nation in Shawnee, Oklahoma. We are one of the Potawatomi communities that was removed in the early 1800s after the defeat of the British and their native allies after the War of 1812. Many of the Great Lakes tribes started facing many removal policies. And so many of these removals were smaller and negotiated through various treaties. But my family in particular was removed on the Trail of Death. So the Trail of Death came in, or began in early September 1838. General John Tipton was ordered to essentially round up the Potawatomi who were still remaining in northern Indiana, specifically many of the Potawatomi residing at or around Menominey's Village near Twin Lakes, Indiana. And so when this occurred, they had met, many of the Potawatomi thought that it was an opportunity to continue negotiating on their community's behalf to stay in the Great Lakes, in their homelands. And then what occurred was the militia and John Tipton's cohort then locked many of the Potawatomi in the church that they were meeting at and burnt their homes, their crops, anything that they might try to return to. And once that was done, they rounded everyone up and shackled leaders such as Menominee and Papanawa, and then began the Trail of Death. So during that, a band of 859 Potawatomi were removed during that removal at gunpoint to what is now Kansas, what folks then called the Sugar Creek Reservation. And so this forced removal was a 660-mile trek of Potawatomi of all ages, so from elders to babies. And there was rarely a day that passed that someone did not pass away during this time. And also because it was predominantly a militia-ran removal, many of the supplies that had been negotiated for or promised did not arrive, so most people had to walk on foot. From stories that my grandpa has from his great-grandma, she would talk, she actually did not refer to it as the Trail of Death, she referred to it as the Long Walk. She was a 9-year-old during that removal. And so eventually they arrived at the Sugar Creek Reservation in northeastern Kansas on November 4th, 1838, and found that there were no supplies there either. So while over 40 people passed during the removal, many more actually passed after arriving in northeastern Kansas, including members of my family that then left children orphaned. And so that is just one story of the removals that occurred in the Great Lakes, and many tribes in Kansas and Oklahoma have various different removal stories as well coming from this area. Miigwech.
Mimi no bejik, agete ejigawin, wabandamek nungo, kwe nikea ejigat. This is another traditional dance that you're seeing by a woman. Mabanikea ejit kuki kadang manda ke. Nogo apjugo nenegaji kung. Miwabo kwe enangjet. Nibina tene kwe enangjet. Kawabandang kinegego. There are many roles of a woman that she has in Anishinaabe life. And the way she steps on the earth is very light, tending to the earth. Now sop ejiganoen matani Johnson. Now sop kinegego ejiganoen dang. Bejigod nege nikea nakuniget. Mine najwe bakkinegego bemadsing. And a woman, certain roles they have are very strict, and they believe in one system. So sometimes when they show that in their dance, they kind of dance in one spot. That shows that they're really strict on, their beliefs in the ways of the people. That cannot change. Ogunigeda anses no. Mabukwe ejim shkoendang. Ejiganoendang kinegego. So the roles that she has, they're very strict and they will not change, and that's why she kind of stands in one spot when she dances. No, matash mabunika ajit kuki kadang kwe eke. Nimande wabanda wet. No, matgo. Music ken mat neke amava enadizit. This is the male grass dance, and usually when a man dances this way is to demonstrate like the flow of the grass in the plains area. Mishkode conning, even sikam gatmanda, ajagawin. Mabanene wam the wet, nimit. Miko gashiching, winanash kagadek, nishkod. Mage ngujui manjeding, mage nguji umamuyad and Anishinaabe. Usually this style of dance demonstrates how the men that would go to prepare maybe a setting for a gathering in the plains areas, they would kind of step down, make sure all the grass is down, and so making them room to have a little gathering place. And the steps that he does is to show, laying down the grass, the tall grass in the area that they're going to gather. Nikajit kokit. I went to Bejo see Maba. You tal sedot, manje dot. Ibatinoko, Skinwick, Memdige, Kiamandika, Yichigel. Penis at Ostod, Kidanishnabek, Mije, Imanje dot, Inan Kiot, Washichigot. Jibas gane jigawin jin kade manda. This is called the Jingle dress. Jibas ka jindagego gugwedwang anamaang. Whatever is asked for in prayer goes through here. Mabadash kinagego gashitot nakwetan e gugwedwang. The Creator then answers what is asked. Niswak shingodwas minna shinanan. Shivas kagasan kadagudenon agudasing. There should be 365 cones hanging on the dress. And the sobejik na sap nik ishgadon et temgagen nagopon. One for every day of the year. Nan good nongego shuebot bemadising. Sometimes something happens in life. Goya akuse gego je mishinige. Someone is sick or has an ailment. Magegego dukachin shinadin the megon, or something upsets them to depression. Midashmaba nim kang manda gajoebak. So this dancer dances for this. Chivas kadash egwedweng, chivas kagansing. The question passes through the cone. Nejamagat dash spimming ode hishgong, and goes up there to the heavens. Nojmawin dash joebat, then the healing happens. Wabanong nikia natum shibagos senjage maba eni makang manda. The dancer first faces eastward when asking Midash minwa jawanong nikia, then the southward direction. Midash minwa epangishmok minwa giwed nong nikia, then the west and northern direction. And the sonun wat deweganan maba enimit abdek nish zidan kukimagadon matashkamik. Every time the dancer hears the drum, both feet have to be on the ground. We ne the gushno magak egwedwang a king when jaba magak binish higishagong, so that what is asked for gets to the heavens from the earth. This is the male fancy dance style. This dance is performed by sometimes the very youngest to the eldest, depending on how agile you are. Mimizne tkoki jigawin. Dashin kajgade manda tunawo ni mitgoya. Apchigo jepze maba shki huizens ni mitchinda. It's a fast stepping type of dance, and you can see how very energetic this dancer is in his moves. Nangud nanggo what in Nikia is mit maba enim kang manda nangud nanggo da wam da when ongigo ejamam kadizet abde ko gue ya nangud nang emam kadizet apchigo em no anagozet. So sometimes this style of dance is one of that shows agility and maybe a little bit of fun and just having fun. This style of dance is the fancy shawl dance. Mojweniginan biskoan maba napkoan din mangnang. Mimis nigawin ishin kade manda. Schnabe mo. Mabada shwam the wen, shkini quens nimit. Chibo awit memengwas. Ejishgat. Beshagonen anikanandum jigananan william. Eshkat. Pidishgo nimit. Bengujen nimit. Eshkangolden sakananan and nikan william the wet manda mojwe nigan. At the beginning of the dance, usually this style, the dancer keeps her arms close to the body to show, the growth of the butterfly. It's kind of like in the cocoon form. And then once it's emerged, she's got her arms open and, her shawl looks like they're wings. Minoge pitkoki the king. Judge na go at cookie up to judge na ke. And when she steps on the ground, she steps very lightly because when the butterfly lands at places, they don't land a long time. They kind of touch and then they move on. So when you see her, just think about seeing a butterfly and how they land and go from place to place. Judge nabu ni maba memengwas. The marshit. Chugo judge na mi go abje anji. Was kunen nebo ni. Chugo wembe the wen maba memengwas enazat. Pi maba shkini quest ni. Kendang was an agodic manda mojwenigan. Winignanica was on the wet gay, meming wasnica and adset. Migish and agodic manda biscon. So her style is what that butterfly might look like, and the dancer is the one that chooses what that shawl will show in her dance.